Here are our choices for the most fun cars under $30,000. You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James.
And this is the most common question that we get on Instagram or in YouTube comments.
Yeah, other than why does Thomas look like Jesus from The Walking Dead?
Yeah, okay, Steph Curry. So what we did was compile a list in ascending order of funness of cars that we think bring the most smiles for under 30 grand US, or about 35 grand Canadian. Let's get started.
And if you're new to Throttle House, we do car reviews, track tests, and quite a lot of messing about. So subscribe, hit the bell.
Now, trust us, we laboured over this list for way too long. And in fact, it did result in some instances where Thomas had to go outside to blow off steam.
The answer is not always Miata. Oh.
So let's start with number 10, and it's a car that I always hate how good it is. The Honda Civic SI.
Yeah, the Civic Si is one of those cars that reminds you that Honda is really good at engineering fun into the basics of car design. The steering is great, it feels light, and it has just enough power to make you crack a smile.
And it does help that it has a limited slip diff up front, but it still lands at number 10 because even though it's good, it's not that fun. It's just really good.
Number 9, the Subaru WRX. That's right, for just under 30K, you can get a manual base Subaru WRX, a car that does everything just okay-ish.
But for 2020, it's even better now because the rev hang is almost gone. It still has a bit of a strange shifter and a strange clutch, and it's not as old school in feel as its STI brother. But put it on some gravel or some snow or any loose surface, and it dominates.
The all-wheel drive system does make up for a lot of the deficiencies that the car otherwise has, and you can get it in a manual, and you should get it in a manual, because it can come in a manual. End of story. Number 8, the two-door Jeep Wrangler Sport.
What, you think these are all going to be sports cars?
What's not to love about a Jeep? It's a fun little off-roader, it looks cool, the doors come off, and even though you can't get locking diffs in the base model, you do get a low-range gearbox and tons of ground clearance. So you can go mass through some muddy trails. Trust me, off-roading is fun as heck. I've never felt more manly than when I'm crushing some back trails.
Yeah, just as long as you stay in the car, Thomas. We all know what happens when you don't. And the Sport comes in at $27,000 US. Why all these base models are called Sport, I don't know. The Cadillac CT5 does it, the Wrangler, even the Miata does it. But we'll get to the Miata soon. Or not that soon. Who knows?
Number 7, the Fiat 500 Abarth.
Thomas, why is this one on the list?
Because it's small, it's peppy, it makes a good noise.
See, that's why you like it though, because it makes a fun noise. And we raced it on Laguna Seca, which is a track so good it would make a PT Cruiser fun to drive on.
The corkscrew! What a corner!
That, and most of the cars on this list, come in at about 30 grand. The Fiat 500 Abarth, new, comes in at 20 grand US. And for that, you get a badass looking hatchback with a Scorpion on it, a chunky little steering wheel, and 160 horsepower. And you can park it anywhere. Also, James, didn't you hire one for a trip through Italy and absolutely love it?
I remember the pasta.
Number 6, the Golf GTI / Jetta GLI.
Thomas, are you okay?
Yes, I am, thanks for asking. And I know it's kind of cheating to put both of these in the same number, but they're both reasonably fun to drive, and the Jetta GLI is kind of just like the sedan version of the GTI, but you get more stuff for the money.
Yeah, and both offer 228 horsepower with a DSG. And if you can forgive the sound actor fake engine cabin sound, specifically in the GLI,
A lot of pipes and engine noise there.
we found that both cars have the ability to awake your primal instincts.
Yeah, we drove a GLI through Tail of the Dragon. Ended up being a really good time, except for when James got sick.
I've done the Dragon before, and I remember it being Tail of the Dramamine by the end, because this road is so fun, you can make yourself sick as the driver. And I did!
The steering is precise. The DSG, the automatic gearbox, is on point, which in this price range is unfortunately quite rare. But the manual gearbox is brilliant as well.
Yeah, but even though these are some of the best all-arounders, they're not the most fun, which means they don't make the top 5. Number 5, the manual 1LT, 1LE Camaro. There's a reason that manual rear-wheel drive cars always make it to the top 5, and that's no less true with the 1LE. Actually, famous race car driver Randy Pobst has one.
1LE, baby! Yes, this is a 4-cylinder Camaro, which will make the red-blooded, meat-eating, Kenny Loggins-listening Americans run in the opposite direction and then crush a Bud Light can on their forehead just to regain some manliness. But it's good.
And that's because it's on the Alpha platform, which is a seriously good chassis. It underpins some of Chevy's greatest cars.
If it was naturally aspirated, it might appear higher on this list even still. But even with the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo, it puts out 275 horsepower. And yeah, it sounds a little bit poopy. But the best thing about this is you can keep it under 30 grand and load on the 1LE package.
So on top of aesthetic upgrades, you get bigger brakes, you get better cooling, you get a limited slip rear differential, performance suspension, literally everything you need to actually track the car. And because it hasn't got a big V8, it's light and fun. That's the point of this list.
Think Golf R, but as a rear-wheel drive track weapon with worse livability, but under 30 grand. It's really a brilliant option that most people overlook.
Number 4, the BRZ/Toyota 86. Okay, we aren't going to spend too much time on these because they've been out for so long, the people that were born when they came out can now legally drink.
Yeah, in the Solomon Islands. Where did you grow up, Thomas, that the drinking age was 8?
And the BRZ is practically unchanged. When you have a recipe that works, stick with it. Manual, rear-wheel drive, stiff chassis, low center of gravity, amazing handling, simply fun to drive at any speed. And they have a rawness that the Camaro 1LT 1LE can't quite match.
And it has a torque curve to die for.
No, that's where they get let down. And they literally show it to you in the gauge cluster.
But I actually liked the car so much that I bought one when I first moved to Canada, and it is still one of the most fun cars on sale right now, and a perfect starter car for learning to drive on track on a budget. Number 3, the Nissan 370Z, well, Z.
Wait, you could still buy this car new?
You can, although this one's cheating a little bit because it technically costs $30,090. But I trust our audience to be able to get the price down, considering this car came out when they were selling the iPhone 3G. But like the 86, it just has that recipe, that formula, except this time you get 2 more cylinders, so it has a bunch of power. Oh yes! Can you hear that? It's the sound of me going to jail. 332 horsepower to be exact.
We drove the Nismo, which has some completely unnecessary upgrades, but we had way more fun with it than we thought we were going to. And that's because even in base trim form, it has a naturally aspirated high-revving V6, manual transmission, hydraulic power steering, a playful chassis. None of that stuff is groundbreaking, but the thing is the car is so old now that it's become good again, which is fortunate for Nissan because nothing new has come out since. Number 2, the Hyundai Veloster N.
Yes, amidst a sea of rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated cars, there sits at number 2 a turbocharged, front-wheel drive, weird 3-door thing.
Because for $27,600 USD, you can buy one of the most playful, exciting, frantic new hatchbacks on sale today.
The Turbo 4 belts out a whopping 250 horsepower, and if you upgrade to the performance package, which by the way, still comes in at under 30 grand, you get 275 horsepower and a whole lot of pops and bangs.
And I have exhaust pops.
Which actually aren't even there just for show. They're part of the system that keeps the turbo spooled, so that when you want the boost, it's there.
It's rev happy, it's incredibly quick because of how light it is, makes a bunch of noise. It's quite literally a riot. Number 1, the ND Miata.
Now crowned by Miata enthusiasts as the ND2 because it got an engine upgrade in 2019, the Miata sits at the very top of our list. And trust us, this was a hard decision. It's not the highest performer and it is the least practical.
But it's so small. At 2,300 pounds in weight, it's the one that's the most like a toy. It's completely unnecessary. You don't need to own one. You just want to own one. It's got all the good stuff: manual transmission, rear wheel drive, perfect weight distribution, and it has a 7,500 RPM redline. And the roof just plops down if you didn't buy the RF, and you have a street-legal go-kart.
With airbags. It's playful as anything.
Naughty.
It slides. And quite possibly has one of the best manual transmissions on the market right now. It is a pleasure to shift it beyond anything else in this list.
When you're talking about pure fun, the Miata, annoyingly, is still and always will be the answer. And I'm mad about that. James, did we just pick the Miata because you own one of these?
Thomas, you owned one too.
Oh yeah, no I did. That was a fun car. Oh, you're still here. Good. Thank you for watching the video. Drop a like if you liked it, and tell us what other videos like this you'd like to see. But now that I've got you here, I have a really important question I've been trying to figure out. Do the two trailer park girls go around the outside? Do they go around the inside? Or do they go around the block? I can't seem to remember. Let me know.